Alright, g'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I'm sure you can see me in the background of this very large Trident maple. It's been on my channel a few times previously. Very nice big large tree, one of the larger Trident maples I've got. The base is quite substantial. You're looking at the back, I'll turn it around. This is the front of the tree, and the Nibaris are good, you know, that wide, whatever it is, a good 30 centimetres Nibari for sure, plus, you know, 30 to 40 centimetres almost of a Nibari in a beautiful, this is a lovely Yamafusa Japanese pot that I'm very careful. Okay, sorry everyone, the volume again died on my video when I was doing this, but let me try and talk through what happened here. So I was just talking about the Nibari and how wide it was and how well it looked. Hard to remember exactly what I was saying, unfortunately, but we'll try and get through it. Bit annoying, but what can you do? I talked about now I'm talking about how I'm trying to regrow and make it more deciduous, this tree, a deciduous looking tree with more upright growth rather than, you know, flat growth. And I'm talking about a bit of a spare space at the back. There was a very large space there. I'm trying to regrow branches in that area to try and get it looking better. There are a few branches and twiglets that are growing in that space, so I am trying to work on that. I think it happened probably a couple of summers ago where I noticed there was a half-built nest in that spot, and I think that would have just damaged. I didn't realise it was damage done there by those birds and that nest, and it hasn't really recovered yet, but I'll get there eventually. But yeah, you can see my hand in there and there's a big space. So that's been, you know, a problem I'm trying to fix. I'm trying to regrow some branches to fill in that spot, but you know what, it is what it is. This tree puts out so much growth and so much leaves. It just looks one huge big canopy when it's in summer, so it's hard to see that nest there. So as I keep talking about it, I think I'm talking about just the ramifications slowly being built up, which is really positive. I think I'm talking about how I'm trying to get this tree out of the pot. I did a bit of pre-work to get the root rake around a little bit around the base of the pot, because the pot has a little lip on it, which is quite delicate, I guess. I don't want to, you know, scare people by showing them how I'm trying to tilt it and trying to bend it out. So you can see here I'm trying to get it out of the pot, but it wouldn't move yet. So I think I'm going to have to just get my root rake and really just lever it a little bit more. This tree, I think I would have talked about it being a tree that I need to repot every year. It puts out so much growth and so much top growth that its roots are just so full. Like this pot, you'll see it, how it is full of roots. And the reason why I repot every year. Yeah, so I'm just trying to lever it out, just slowly. I think I'm working at the back of the tree. I can't remember. But yeah, you can see it coming slowly out. Don't get scared, people. It looks worse than it is, I guess. But I am quite aware of the rim of the pot and not to do any damage. So just trying to get a few more areas, trying to lever it out. And it should come out now. So you can see one end starting to come out. Great. Now I'll back it up the other end and try and get it out. But it's a very good, and I didn't realise how nice it looks on the camera, how the size of this tree. So as I bend it towards you guys, it's quite substantial. You can see how big it is. So it comes out nice and easy now, but look at the roots. I mean, most of the mesh that was blocking the holes, you know, the mesh that you put in the holes, had, you know, grown into the roots, and the roots have just ripped it right out. So I've got to reapply all that mesh and so on. So it's such a big tree, I'm trying to get room to move things around. And the pot's a beautiful Yamafusa Japanese pot. It's got an awesome glaze on it, which is really beautiful. And there I talked about the holes and the missing mesh, because the roots have just totally took them over. delicately putting that aside. Don't want to drop it. Be a very expensive loss. But then again, now I'm just showing you guys the roots. It's full of roots, quite substantial. And that's the reason I repot this tree. I have to repot this tree every year. If I leave it for 2 years, it will be a mass matted, pretty much rock solid root mass that would have to almost saw off with the saw because it's that thick. So I really don't like doing that. So that's why I repot this tree every year, which is good to do. And now I'm just combing out the top part of the soil because usually that's the part that gets a bit cakey, I guess you can call it. And doesn't allow the water to penetrate that well through the surface. So I usually just try and comb out that top surface. Pretty good, just getting through it all. Spinning it on the turntable. Very important to have a turntable, of course, in these when you work. Makes life a lot easier. Try and get all the weeds out as well when you're doing this. The weeds are always at the top, but you can try and find their root system and give it a little trim up, or pull them out, of course. Just raking away. I know I'm talking, but I can't actually remember what I was saying. So unfortunately, there you go. But anyway, here we go. I'm going to tilt it on its side, I think now, and see the size of this tree. It's pretty substantial. And now I just try and, I think I'll try and just make room. There's lots of soil everywhere, so I'll just try and clear up the space because I hate working with a messy environment. I like to try and be clean as possible. Clean up all the soil out of the way. Now I'm tilting it. I'll tilt it to the side, most likely. I don't want to really hold the tree up. It's too heavy to hold and cut the roots. So I tend to just tilt it to the side and trim away the roots. So let's see if I do that. I should do that. Yep, there we go. Oh, hang on, no one I'm doing it. Oh, sorry. Yep, not yet. I'm actually just digging in with my fingers into the root mass to to dislodge all the soil from the root mass. Well, the soil is pretty open and nice open mix, the pumice and pine nugget mix that I use, and just dislodging it with my hands is pretty easy. I know sometimes I get stuck in with a root rake sometimes when it gets a bit too solid, I guess, but most of it just comes off with my hand. It's pretty easy. Yeah, really get in there. When you have a nice open mix, it's quite easy to dislodge those pieces from the roots, especially if you just repot every year. So which this tree is, repotted every year, easy to dislodge. Alright, now I think I'm going to tilt it on its side. Am I still trying to dislodge? I think I'm talking about the same thing, about all the open mix. Anyway, so now I should be ready to trim this tree up, or I'm just trying to get rid of all the soil that's made, all the mess. Oh no, I'm trimming around, that's right. So now I do a trim right around like a bowl cut, I guess. Just cutting around, right around like a bowl, spinning it around and doing the cut. Just cutting away, nice heavy root shears, lots of roots to cut. That's kind of the first stage. Now is the stage, you're just going to be very careful not to knock the tree, but look at the roots, heavy roots still get stuck into it. Tilt on its side, get through it as fast as I can. I don't want the roots to dry out. It was a kind of a warm day, so I had to really work quickly to get rid of those, to cut those roots off without letting all the other roots dry out. So just working away that side. I think I found one of the mesh that was in the roots. Almost there. I always say look for anything that's quite heavy, like if I find a very heavy root in the middle of the base, I guess, I look at trying and get rid of those, because we don't need any of those heavy roots in the base or underneath. So now all I do is flip the tree on its other side and cut the rest of those roots off. And we should be almost complete that process. As you see, even though it's a big tree, it's actually not a bad process, pretty quick process once you get the hang of it. I guess the problem is if you have a very condensed soil and very fine soil, it takes a lot longer. But with a very open mix, the roots, as you saw, the soil just drops away, the roots are all there, easy to cut off, and you just start working on it. It's quite straightforward. Almost done. Very important to have nice, big, heavy, strong scissors. And there you go, nice flat pad, nice and flat. Sometimes I do a bit of a comb out. But yeah, I'm just doing a happy snap there, pretty much, for my thumbnail on YouTube, I guess. But there you go. It's pretty decent sized tree, nice flat root base. And now I just need to go and wash all the soil off it, and then go start repotting. But that should be it. And hopefully the rest of the video actually has volume and voice. But look at the roots. Look how much roots came off that tree in one season. That's just one season's growth. So that's why I need to repot every year this tree. It really is a correlation of those roots to the foliage. It gets a massive foliage. All right, so I have washed the roots and everything. I've prepared the pot again. The back is facing you, so I need to actually work out where I want to go. I've mounded the soil up in the middle, just like normal. Now I've got to work out where I want to place this. So I'm showing you side on, because I want the tree to come forward a little bit that way. So I'm going to work the tree in a bit more at the base. That's a bit better. That's nice. So if I turn it to you, that's the front. Pretty much identical place. It does have a slight bend, this tree, a slight bend backwards, and maybe a little bit. I just want to try and anchor. Let's have a look again. It's always just subtle differences, subtle adjustments with the tree this big. So you get a great look at the beautiful Nabari. Really, really nice and big and expansive. In this picture you can see it's all the way right out to here, right out to there. So it's pretty good. Just giving it a nice clean, so I think I'm going to be happy with that. Now the back of the tree is pretty good too, but all the branching is at the front and built towards the front, so it's going to be very hard to change that. Just going to wire the tree in now. Just going to make sure I've got my pliers. Big trees take a lot more energy. Like I don't have too many massive trees anymore. It is a bit of work to do. Take your time, get it right. Wire the tree in. Again, this tree, the wire is just there for the initial phase of once it establishes roots again in the spring. once it gets established, you know, you can see it fills the pot up, no problem at all with roots. So I'm gonna have to really get in now, because now I'm gonna just try and put soil underneath that root mass. It's a bit of a gap. So I'm gonna go slowly through each one and use my fingers this time, just to get it right in there. Oops. I will use a chopstick later, but sometimes I find little weeds growing in between the root mass, so I just pull them off. More soil. The back seems to have a bit more room. I must have put the tree a little bit forward, so that's okay. It's a good spot. Yeah, so that's given an overall. Always like to give it a nice little tap. Kind of settles it in. Now we'll work our way in with the chopstick. And this big tree is done pretty much once I work all this root, once I work all this soil in. So it's not too bad, it's just got to get it inside and underneath the root mass a little bit. So a couple of minutes here, a bit of work, and we're done for another year with this big tree. And then we'll look at trying to keep improving the refinement of this tree. You can see how much twigs are now starting to form on this tree. Especially if I show you side on, it's very twiggy. It's really nice. So it's just slowly in time. Now I do defoliate this tree at least once during the growing season. And I found it's helped a lot of the ramification, because defoliate, you know, create new leaves, new short internodes and everything. So it really works really well, defoliation on this tree. And I've done a video on this, I think, this tree a few times on defoliation. So I always give it one, always give it a go. It seems to really respond. But look at the branching. I mean, very full tertiary, secondary, tertiary, even fourth level branching. So it's really good. Today's been an unusually warmish day, so it's been nice to get some repotting done. But even the smallest bit of warm weather, seems like mosquitoes are finding their way back in, come out of nowhere. So, all right, there you go, guys. I think that's about it. Not much more to do except water this tree in. I'll put it, actually, because it's such a big tree, what I normally do is put it back where it is on the bench, and I actually put it back on the bench and water it there, because then it just stays in its same spot. I don't have to move it again after I've watered it. Yeah, so it's pretty easy to do. Less work for me to worry about. And another tree done and repotted. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Very big tree, same process as the smaller trees, just a bit more effort. And that's about it. And done for another year. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.